Hey everybody, it's Christian Buckley doing another MVP Buzz Chat. I'm talking today with David. Hello.
Greetings. How's it going?
It's going. It's been a long day.
It has. This month went by or January went by. Yeah, I'm still in January if you haven't figured that out.
Yeah. That's so 10 days ago, David. Come on.
I'm
Come on.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But David, for folks that don't know you, who are you, where are you, and what do you do?
All right. Let's see. My name is David J. Pileggi Jr. I am an M365 engineer at Staples. I was born at a very young age. I have been around.
Wow. Wait, no, I didn't know that about you. No, go
Yeah,
on.
it's
Continue.
unknown fact.
Is this the person with whom I'm speaking right now?
I believe so. I'll have to check my ID later.
We got lax security around here, folks. Sorry. Yeah.
Phenomenal. Let's see. I've been working with SharePoint since 2005. I worked with Microsoft Online since BPOS beta. So that's what, late 2006, early 2007.
Yeah, 2006. Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's when I started, was with the launch of that. So
Yep.
Yep.
And so I've been on the speaking circuit since 2009. I have been on and off the co-organizer for the Boston SharePoint user group back in the day, and now the Boston Office 365 user group. And let me throw a fun fact in. I was Dr. Egon Spengler of the Ghostbusters show at Universal Studios for 2 years. So
That's where I know you. Yeah. No, I was thinking about that too. I think we've talked about this, but because we're SharePoint twins. I started in 2005 against my will and best judgment. I tried to convince the client not to do it, but they did it. But 2005 and then 2006, early 2006, went to work for Microsoft. And so it was there when MMS got rebranded as BPOS. So I'm trying to remember. I did meet quite a few folks because my org, and so Joel Olison was part of that,
Yep.
Mike Watson, Bill Bear, Sean Livingston. There's a bunch of us that were there. And that they're members of my team, not me, but we're doing like the Ranger trainings.
Yep.
And later the what was it? The old what was the very serious sounding the expert level training, the certification you could get?
The SharePoint Nights.
Certified masters. That's what it was.
Yes, that's right. The masters, certified masters.
So when that was being kind of developed and brought out, and so I met quite a few folks that went through that training, Microsoft employees, and then invited in experts from around the world. So I got to know a few MVPs way back when I was still a blue badge. And then I met a bunch of other people through the first two SharePoint conferences, which happened while I was an employee. So I was there working in the good old hands-on lab.
I think that's where we actually met.
So
that would be 2006. Let's see
here.
Bill Gates was the keynote speaker.
It was his last Microsoft event.
It was the last Microsoft event. And one of the things to this day that still sticks with me in my head is when he said, Microsoft Office SharePoint Server, MOS 2007, the changes that were made were 95% requests from the end user community. Only 5% was specific to what we thought was the right way to go. Wow. And lo and behold, 1 year later, it was their fastest growing server application ever. And I don't think it's been beaten since.
No, well, I mean, by other Microsoft products, but but server-based versus cloud-based. But yeah. I mean, it's because that all evolved into what is now Office 365, which then grew faster. That brand, that product grew faster than did SharePoint, and then Teams outpaced that, even though
that was kind of helped by COVID ever so slightly.
Well, yeah, but in the end, 100 years from now, not that anybody go back and look at the stats, it was only that it was the faster growing product.
Oh, by far. By far. And I like I implied, there were certain circumstances worldwide that kind of added to the, I would say, breakneck pace of that. For example, at Staples, we had the biggest grassroots using Teams before we even officially released it.
Hmm.
We had over 8,000 out of 18,000 people already using it before we let everyone know that, oh, there's this thing called Teams. And the way things went, we ended up having, I think, 3 tickets the first week it was air quotes released because everyone was already using it.
Yeah. You kind of ironed out those difficult spots there. And well, it's well, the other thing I was happy to see too with when you earned your MVP. So again, congratulations for that.
Thank you very much.
We were talking about that this last fall, about that you were, making the attempt and again, and kind of getting involved and doing more community stuff again. But David's one of those people again, like I said, since we met while I was still at Microsoft, that was, 16 years ago was when I left, or is that right? 15 years, 16. Yeah. 16 years ago. It's been a while. Wow. That's just a lifetime. It's
crazy.
And to think that's only the second half of my career. The first half, I wasn't even in the Microsoft ecosystem, doing other stuff. And I feel young. I'm looking older, but I still feel young. So where I go from here, I don't know. All AI, I guess. That's kind of what everybody's signing up for. But I was happy to see that you on there, like the specialization in SharePoint, because somebody just asked me, like, are they really giving out many new MVPs to these areas that have been around for a long time? And the answer is yes, they are. I mean, SharePoint is, officially what, 25 years old, 26 years old,
2001.
And,
so
yeah, 24 years old. Anyway, but it's been around for a long time. Yeah, they're still brand new. Every month there's new MVPs, and there is no cap on, like SharePoint MVPs. We could add a dozen. Probably not likely a dozen next month, but it could happen. If there were the right people that were in place and passionate and doing stuff for the community. So SharePoint's like your primary. What would you say your secondary, tertiary topics are, technologies?
So I have M365 as my secondary. My tertiary most likely would probably be Microsoft Teams.
Okay.
That would probably be the triumvirate as far as what I'm heaviest in. And the reason for that is I've been working with Microsoft Teams, well, since Office Communication Server.
Yeah.
There you go, mic drop. But
I was back looking through the naming of Communication Server. I was trying to remember when Microsoft bought that, like the WebEx competitor. What were they? Was it, and then it became Live Meeting, but it was, I don't remember. I'm like, that's my age now. I forgot the name of it.
Seriously, I would have had to look it up again because it's been so long.
But that there was an entry into, of course, Microsoft was doing a bunch of stuff. But yeah, for folks that are like, everybody thinks that like Zoom is this groundbreaking thing, like over in the space. Like, I mean, WebEx. I mean, there's a dozen products out there. GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar. But back in the day, there was that other product. It was really WebEx was number one, and that other product was number two. Microsoft bought them, but that other is it Placeware? Something like it. Anyway, but that other product had superior software. It was a beautiful product. And then they brought it in, they rebranded the whole thing, and that was where really truly the escalation of the warring battles of the live meeting webinar technology really took off, when Microsoft made that major investment to that public platform versus like the net meeting and the other stuff that was out there that was kind of home built, which was actually on NT was a great product.
Absolutely. One of the things I'm thinking is that is probably one of the keystone mile markers for the collaboration from where it was to where it is today. I would think the whole concept. Yep. Go ahead. Look it up.
I have to see. Yep. It was Placeware was correct with the capital W, one word, but Placeware. It was spun out of, it was Xerox engineers, founded it in 96. Microsoft acquired it in 2003. Yeah.
Yep.
So, but anyway, well, with that, like your background and stuff. So I always like to ask, get a feel for like, what are your contribution types? Like, where are you active? Are you like a
Sure.
blogger, a video, a writer, like kind of all those different things?
So I have not wrote a book. I was approached a long time ago. It's something I could probably pursue. Right now, I've got a YouTube channel called Come Alive with M365. I also have my own blog post as well, or blog in general as well. I've been doing a lot of that. I am a co-organizer for the Boston M365 user group, and you do not have to be in the Boston area to join us. We do also do remote as well. We have a lot of great speakers. Christian, you actually last year graced us with your presence, and it was very much appreciated. You had a really good topic. Um, One of the hottest topics, I think, last year. Pretty much most of our speakers were on Copilot and the concepts that revolved around it, and like a lot of different viewpoints, a lot of different angles. It kind of reminds me of the analogy that I love to use when I'm talking to like senior leadership, especially in a conference room, because they kind of understand. When you look at Copilot from multiple angles, it's kind of like looking at a Rubik's Cube. Think of it as fully completed, put in the center of the conference table. I could say I see red, white, and blue because that's my perspective. But the thing is, Christian, you're on the other side, opposite side of the table. You see red because it's on the top. You see yellow and orange. Why? Your perspective is different of the exact same item.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with having as many MVPs that you brought up earlier, is the fact that is actually a very good thing. The more perspectives, the better you can actually see the object as a whole.
Yeah. Well, and then we need AI to be able to interpret all of those things and come up with the actual answer.
42.
Yeah, it's 42 too. That's right. Yeah. No, but it's I always agree with that. In fact, I've often referenced this. I went and was speaking at an event in Helsinki, Finland, and
Wow.
afterwards we had like a share pint down at this pub, and I was standing in the doorway talking with this young guy who was talking about like the future with AI and robots and kind of all that kind of stuff, and he said, it's a real young guy. He part of it was he said. That and majority humans will then live in luxury because these robots will do everything. I'm like, man, you do not understand human nature. Like, no, someone will own all those. None of us will get that stuff for free. Other people like own that stuff, and we'll be struggling, kind of thing. And so we went back and forth. But the point we got to around this, we started talking about like all of this content that was created around these topics, and I kept arguing that the more people writing, the more people sharing, like that's better. And he said, no, I mean, there's a definitive article written about this. Then that should be it. Why would I write an article if somebody's already written like that perfect thing? I'm like, I don't know, different life experiences, different perspectives, different roles or levels, different industries, coming in from a different angle, talking about integration versus an overview versus like all these different things. Don't let the fact that there's some other fantastic article reference that, something another MVP has done or another expert, mention it, but share your opinion, share that content. We don't need less content in the world. We need better filters. We need better findability of those things, but not less content.
No, I totally agree with you on that. I mean, there's a lot of things over the years. I mean, think about it back to the golden age of SharePoint when you, Joel, and there's several other evangelists that were out there pounding the pavement. A lot of different perspectives. If you were not able to reach somebody or a company because of your perspective, Joel, or someone else,
Well, I mean, the evangelists at the time, I mean, Dan Holm, before he was at Microsoft, was doing that. Jeremy Thake, Benjamin Nyland with ShareGate. I mean, there's a bunch of people that kind of had evangelist as their title. And we did like some slightly different things out there, but we're really like the faces of our various companies. Dan was independent, but he was an evangelist just of like we all are for, Microsoft products. But yeah.
It's definitely interesting sorry, first day with my new mouth, but it's just been interesting watching literally from the beginning of the swell. No, I did not touch SharePoint 2001. However, Portal Server, I cut my teeth on Portal Server 2003,
Mhm.
and I've been going about it ever since. And one of the things that I absolutely love, and I think is what's right about the SharePoint slash M365 community, is the fact that you do have the different perspectives. If you go to back in the day, a SharePoint Saturday, or into a collaboration event for nowadays, or the
Mhm.
SharePoint conference, you could have a CEO or a CIO sitting next to a developer who hasn't seen the light of day in the last 2 years, and he was forced to go to this so they could actually see the sunlight, to an end user, to a sales rep,
Yeah.
all within 4 seats of each other. And the thing is, it was always a very positive experience. It was for some reason able to break down those silos of, oh, I'm in the C-suite, or I'm a developer, I'm this. And then what ended up happening is it ended up becoming such an amazing community. People were able to learn off of each other.
Yeah. Well, I mean, community is not a respecter of titles. It's like, look, we're all equals on the
Yep.
battlefield in there, and so uh, to be in the space, it has much to do with what you contribute, than what you get back out of that.
Yep.
And there are some people that go in and do the like, don't you know who I am kind of thing, which is why I don't have one ready for me. I should have it right here, but I have the don't you know who I am sticker. Um, but that attitude, I mean, like make zero progress. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if you're in there, you're collaborative. You could be brand new in the space, but
Yep.
in learning at the beginning of your journey, and share your thoughts, and you're an equal to the people that have been there 20 years and sharing other thoughts. It's going to be a slightly different conversation, and but one person might know more of the answers around that, but it doesn't invalidate that participation, and everybody's welcome within that. I love that aspect about the
It
tech community.
Yeah, exactly. It goes beyond that too. Think about it. At the SharePoint Saturdays, everyone was willing to answer questions and to help. You could have someone from, let's back in the day, Jornada and Insight, and I could just go down the list of the different consulting firms back then, and you could have 5 different people from 5 different consulting firms who are just chatting it up, and someone comes up and say, I loved your talk, what about this? And then all of a sudden they get a instant 5-person panel
Yeah.
who wants to actually help, genuinely helping. There were no lines to be crossed. There was no competition. There was a true general genuine interest in actually helping that individual. I
Yeah.
think that was one of the things that really, really drew me into this community.
Yeah. Well, the whole Ask Me Anything format live, because that
Yeah.
what we do, if folks, if you've not been to one of these events that we're talking about, like a community, if you go to communitydays.org and find a lot of them, but anyway, these community driven, usually free events, or very low cost if they're trying to cover some of the expenses in more expensive areas. Yeah, which I get it. Like there's one in later this month that's happening. I guess when this goes live, it'll be in the past, but just happened in Phoenix area, the
Mm.
Microsoft offices. But as an example of that, but at the end, it's fairly common, and we just did this last year in our Utah event, is to have all the speakers who didn't have to leave early to go catch a flight to leave at the end of the day, but would sit up at the front in a giant panel, and whatever questions come up. But to your point, sometimes the MVPs and the speakers and other experts would answer the questions, but then somebody in the audience would be like, hey, I've also seen this, and this is what we
Yep.
did. And so it becomes more of a conversation.
Yep.
And I always like to say, like, if you're sitting there in the audience and you know the better answer, or the answer for it, like, jump into the conversation. And that's one path to becoming an MVP, is just being active and participating in the community. And speaking of that, David, like, what I know it may be fresh in your mind, if the medication doesn't have it blocked, but what was your path to becoming an MVP? Maybe talk about that, and why, for being in the space for so long,
Yeah.
why now? and not 15 years ago.
Do you want the true answer, or do you want
Like whatever polished version that your PR team has prepared is fine.
So there was an interest of becoming an MVP for quite some time. I would probably say around 2014, 2015. I've been speaking on the circuit for about 5 years. I knew a lot of MVPs. I knew a lot of people in general. I've spoken at many SharePoint Saturdays across the United States. However, MVPs seem to be the, how should I say it, trying to catch a cloud with a butterfly net. um, and it was just one of those things that I just did not know, because I asked one person, "Oh, you have to be nominated by someone from Microsoft." Okay, I talked to someone from Microsoft. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I never heard of that,
Yeah.
and so it was kind of difficult. And so I kind of sat that on the back burner. But as of recent, getting me to start talking is not the problem. Getting me to be quiet, a little bit more difficult. My wife knows how, but that's about it. The punchline is, I started doing a YouTube channel. I'm like, I've got all this stuff rattling around in my head. It's bouncing in there. And one of the things I got told during collab days last year at Microsoft in Waltham, Massachusetts, they said a lot of people either talk about, onboarding stuff, really simple stuff, and then these others, you need a doctorate degree because the stuff that they're going over is like, we're missing the middle.
Right.
And I took that to heart. And so one of those things that kind of spawned off was the YouTube channel. And because of that, all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get a rhythm. I'm starting to understand a lot of the stuff that I'm covering on my YouTube channel is coming from my office hours at Staples.
Mhm.
And it's like, that's a really great question. I bet a lot of people would actually benefit from this. One of my most watched videos right now is the most forgotten best practice of Microsoft Forms. Oddly enough, don't know why, that is like one of the hottest videos I have right now. And it's like, okay, I was actually speaking at the M365 user group in New Hampshire with Jim Wilcox. And he's a fabulous guy. I was talking with him, and and MVP came up. I'm like, what do I need to do? Who do I need to talk to? And he's like, I can nominate you. I'm like, wait, what a minute. It's like, clear out the, ears. And I'm like, really? He's like, really? And the thing he said to me is, I already thought you were already an MVP. I'm like, and a lot of people who I told is like, wait, you just got it? I'm like, yeah, I just got it. He's like, I got you. I can nominate you. And so it has become a lot easier. If you, because he knows the work I've put into it. He's seen my YouTube channel. He's heard me speak numerous times. I've been at different SharePoint Saturdays with them, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. So that's how it came about. It was by being persistent and asking the question enough time to find someone who is willing to take a chance and support me.
Well, you made an excellent point too, because I've had a number of people. I'm sure now that you're an MVP, you'll have people that will come forward and ask you like, what could I do? Like how did this happen? And then inevitably, like would you nominate me? So I've had people like I've never met before. Like I don't have any association with them. We may have connected on LinkedIn. I'm like, oh yeah, hey, I see that you work in the industry, in the space. Oh, I'm happy to connect with you. And then immediately they say, hey, could you submit me for this? I'm like, dude, I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
I can't vouch for you.
Yep.
Like, so I don't know how it is with every submission, but I know like most of the MVP leads and stuff, and they'll come back and they'll ask questions and things. And if my answer is like, I like this person sent me, they say they've done all this stuff. Like, I don't know.
Yep.
Like, or I'd have to go and investigate it. But I've told some people, I said, look, do you have other MVPs in your area? Do you have somebody or a Microsoft person that knows you, that knows of the contributions you're making in? Like, that would be the route that I would recommend for it? Like, can I? Yes. And maybe there are other MVPs that'll do this, but personally, it's like I won't make a name submission unless I legitimately know and believe that
Yeah.
they're active, contributing, and would be good inside the program.
I would say that I'm of the same mindset. It's like I feel like my name is on the ride with that. If I suggest or nominate
Quality
somebody,
over quantity, right? Yeah.
and it's like I will need to know who you are.
Yeah.
If I and like I said, Jim and I have known each other for years, and I mean 10 plus.
And notwithstanding, he still submitted you, so that's great. I know Jim as well. So.
Yeah, no, he's got a great sense of humor, and
Well, he's invited me to speak multiple times, so yes.
I didn't even have to use my crying towel this time. It was great.
I need one of those. Yeah, it's all right. So we got through kind of the background and the contribution types and stuff. So what are the most exciting topics, announcements? Like what are you passionate about right now? Is there anything that is like new announcements, latest, greatest that have really kind of struck a chord with you?
As far as announcements, I mean, I guess I could throw my hat into the co-pilot ring, though I'm a lot more, how should I say, reserved
Yeah.
than many. I mean, it is definitely the future. Do not get me wrong in the least bit. However, it is in its infancy.
Yeah.
We're talking office communication server type stuff before they bought Skype for Business or Skype in general. It's in its infancy stages. Is it growing by leaps and bounds? It absolutely is. It's because there's so much interest in it right now. But there's a lot of things that there's going to be a lot of plateaus that are going to be hit. They're going to have to come up with new algorithms. There's a lot of different things that Copilot is going to have to go through as it continues to evolve. I will say this, and I think this is probably the biggest thing. The reason why I have a lot of belief in Microsoft's Copilot AI is because they actually have an ethics committee.
Yeah. They started there.
They started there.
Day one. Yep.
When I heard, and this is general knowledge, this is out in the news, so I'm not going to feel bad about when I say this. When Google fired their ethics committee to further their AI pushing, I had no interest from anything they touched from that point on.
Yeah.
You do not do that. That is something that is automatically going to throw up like an entire mountain of red flags.
David, you're discounting the fact that they could have been just horrible people.
Very true. They could have been trying to take over the world.
Just saying.
Okay.
I'm trying to, give the benefit of the doubt to the leadership team that made that decision. But yeah.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. I got it.
Thank you. Another Google check will be arriving in the mail next week.
Too funny. But honestly, the direction that continues to evolve and go, team room systems has always been interesting. One of the things I definitely want to talk about is why they went from the Gen 1, which it had its own operating system, to just an over-glorified team room system for the Surface hubs. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a missed opportunity as far as I'm concerned, seeing the differences, because we had a bunch of Gen 1s in the office. Then we went to Gen 3. We skipped Gen 2 completely. And there were the thing that you can actually rotate the Surface Hub 3, very cool, especially for the senior leadership who have very long spreadsheets. They love that. Yeah. But at the same time, I liked the Gen 1 when you pick up the pen, it automatically just started the whiteboard and you didn't have to sign in, you didn't have to start a meeting. So the additional, I got to do these extra things, I got to start a meeting so I can use a whiteboard, was kind of given some resistance from senior leadership because simplicity was not there as much. But honestly, there's a lot of different things going on. I'd love to see SharePoint actually say, we're going to give you a real calendar, or Teams, a real calendar that actually ties into the M365 group calendar.
Yeah. Well, I will say that the latest Teams calendar update, the sync with, I guess, the Teams with Outlook, it improved slightly. So there's incremental improvements, but yeah, I still think that's an area for overhaul. But that's, I mean, hey, we could have a whole discussion on that. In fact, Sherry Oswald and I are talking about doing a series of webinars where we like a monthly kind of episode where we fix calendar problems and focus on that. But well, anyway, to wrap this up, I go back, focus back on David around this kind of final question, but around activity in the community. I mean, what are your recommendations to somebody who wants to become an MVP besides like find an MVP in your area that kind of thing? But as far as focus or topic, are there any areas that you think that are like underserved where there's opportunities?
There are so many ways to approach getting your MVP. Speaking may not be your strong suit. Like I said, I have no problem talking, getting me to shut up, and Christian's been trying to for the last 5 minutes, but
just the notes in the side through the chat. Yes.
If you're not a speaker, there are MVPs who literally live in Microsoft Learning, answering all the questions on the boards, and they do a phenomenal job. Some of them are like, I swear they dream in binary, zeros and ones only, because they are so phenomenal at what they do. They understand the question. They know how to tie different resources together to answer your questions. There are some MVPs that's literally all they do.
Yeah.
There are other MVPs who do nothing but speaking. There are other MVPs who have blog posts and do speaking as well. You can do any combinations. You need to find what impassions you, what excites you the most, and just go for it. Run with it.
Yep. Agreed. I think those are good closing words too. Just don't be your own biggest blocker. Don't self-edit that. Go out there, put yourself out there. But yeah. Well, David, for people that want to reach out to you, connect with you, like where are you most active in social? Where can people find you?
So I am on X. I almost said Twitter. So I'm on x.com, and it's David Pileggi, all one word. Then you can also find me on YouTube, Come Alive with M365. Let's see. My blog post is djpileggi.com. Feel free to check out my recent posts there. Let's see. Other than that, I'm not sure if I got anything else.
All the other sorted sites where you can find your profile. Yeah, that's right. Just look
LinkedIn. I have LinkedIn, of course.
Of course. I'm going to start doing that. When I ask that question, it'll be like the Wheel of Fortune, where I will already besides LinkedIn, where else? Although I interviewed somebody last fall that had no LinkedIn. I'm just like, well, how do people I don't do social? I'm like, who hurt you? How are you damaged in this way that you're not?
It's out there. I mean, it's definitely interesting. There are people out there who literally ghost social completely, and there's different reasons. Some are chaos theory, others are. But
they're not human. They're androids. They're sent here to Earth to study, and they found they're wasting too much time. I just show me show me the person who doesn't have a LinkedIn profile, and I'll also show you somebody who spends way too much time on TikTok. I think that there's a direct relation there. It's like that's but
the doom scrolling.
Anyway, David, really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me, Christian. I really, really appreciate it.